Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, today is a very special day. It is draft day. It's Christmas morning. The Jets are going to add another young stud. We have some Breece Hall news to discuss. Many options available at number 7. Lots to get into.
And Mike is on vacation, on remote, bringing the draft content. It feels like Christmas morning. There's
That's
no
right.
better time. I think it's the top 3 NFL day of the year. So if you're listening to this in the 3 hours before the draft, we're going to try better, get more content out there, make more videos, but it feels good. It's been a very almost like weird build up to the draft. The Jets are a little bit in no man's land for their roster. They got holes. They can go a ton of different areas, but Mike, we're finally here. And God damn it, I'm ready to order 20 Buffalo Wild Wings and crack open like 12 beers. You're already on it.
Number 1. That's right. Yeah, I think Buffalo Wild Wings is like a 24-wing deal. But anyway, this is an interesting draft, Matt, because the Jets have a lot of good players at positions that they still have needs.
Yep.
So you can go a number of different ways. You can go Tyler Warren, where you have really no tight end. But you also could take like a Mason Graham, but you have Quinn Williams. You could take an offensive tackle, but you have Olu. You, in theory, could have taken a corner, but you have Sauce. Receivers on the table. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. What is your gut feeling, Matt? What are the Jets going to do? You had one this morning. I don't know if you're going to stick with it.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the front office because you came from an organization that in the past 18 months has leaked everything. Everything from like Zach Wilson didn't want to play, fake injury on, has been just out there in the open. Every media member knows.
They leaky photoed everything, bro.
Yeah, great callback. Now, last draft, it was Olu or Bowers, and that was everything that was out there, and it ended up being true. I feel as if Aaron Glenn and this regime, if it is out there, the Tyler Warren, Armand Membu, those are the top 2, Membu and Warren, that people think we're going to get. I was driving to work today, and I was like, what if that's what they want? What if they want everyone to be freaking out over those 2 guys and Aaron Glenn, who is running the show? Like, I don't want to say alpha, beta, but like Darren Muji does not feel like he's running the show. This is Aaron Glenn's world, and we're living in it. And what if he just wants a chess piece and draft Jalen Walker? Like, I put in a 50 to win $500 bet on Jalen Walker being the pick tonight. If gun to head, I'd probably still go Membu or Warren. You just need to build on the offensive side of the ball. But Mason Graham falls. They love whoever it might be. Ted McMillan, people think are going to I've had like 3 beers, so I'm fine. Ted McMillan. People are saying Jacksonville at 5 with Genty. It could be one of them. They want to get a playmaker. But yeah, something about Javon Walker, Mike, it just feels like it very well could happen. And I think it's a wild card. And if they're not leaking anything, that would be the pick to do it.
All right, listen, whatever they get, as long as they don't take a quarterback, it really is honestly probably fine. You get a young stud guy. And like we said, most of the positions of need, you still have a stud guy at that position. So, like, if you don't take a defensive tackle in Mason Graham, you still have Quinnen and whatever else they're going to do, plus the guys that they had signed in the offseason. So it's not quite the disaster. Wide receiver, you're not really probably going to be a high frequent passing offense, so you don't really want to take a wide receiver. The Genty thing, Genty seems like he's going to go 5 or 6 to the Raiders or Jaguars. Who the hell knows? Maybe the Bears will trade up and try to take him. So, it'd be interesting to watch him if he gets past those 2 teams, if someone try to move up with the Jets. The Shedeur Sanders is a whole nother aspect of this draft that we have no idea. That, I feel like, it's got to be the biggest wild card, no?
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable to see where he goes. I think he's still going to go in the late teens. I think a team will trade up to take him in front of Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh could move up and secure him themselves. I think the top 3 are locked down, unless the Browns trade the second overall pick, which people are saying could happen. But if it goes Ward, Hunter, Carter, everybody has...
That's got to be the top 3.
Yeah, but everybody's written in pen that Will Campbell's going to go 4. And I think Will Campbell will be a Patriot. I do think it's fascinating, though, if the Jaguars are prime to get a position player, like a skill position, Genty or Tet, wouldn't the Patriots take a gamble and say, "Hey, Raiders, come up 2 spots, give us a future pick. We'll go to 6 and still get Will Campbell anyway." And you run the risk of having Campbell go to the Jaguars. But if the Patriots have good intel
But then
that the
who? Because
Jaguars,
then you're saying the Jaguars are going to take Tet in that situation.
yeah, and then I think that
Yeah,
4-6 swap would be very interesting. You usually don't do that because the Patriots have been down in Louisiana, have been meeting with Will Campbell. They love him. So do you take that risk of, hey, there could be a team at 8-9 that loves Will Campbell, and then they move up to 5, and the Jaguars say, "Go fuck yourself. You're not getting him. Like, you just took us out of Genty. We can still get McMillan at 8 or 9." So very cool
because
stuff
that's the thing.
happening.
I don't think Tet's going to go to the Jets. And then number 8 is Carolina.
8 is Carolina, and 9 is New Orleans, and 10 are the Bears.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I guess feasible that one of those teams could take a receiver, but I haven't seen even Tet mock that high in a while. So I wonder what those teams are thinking. Man, it's so interesting, man. There's so many good guys. We're in a good
And you,
spot, you know?
And the only weird scenario that I think could happen is if they trade back and take a Shamar Stewart,
Right.
an edge rusher from Marshall. I
Listen,
think it's
Texas
Mike Green.
A&M.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can trade back and maybe get good capital and feel good about taking an edge rusher in the mid-teens. But this is a draft that people know outside the top 3 isn't blue chip guys, and it's very odd because if you look at Olu coming to the Jets at 11 last year, for months Olu was a top 5 pick, and then he fell.
Right.
And maybe that's the Mason Graham effect of people thought Mason Graham would be a lock in the top 5. If he falls to 7, you swoop him up. Fine with it. If you take Tyler Warren because you think he can be a great blocker and also be a good pass catcher, fine with it. If you take Membu and solidify a real 5 offensive lineman, fine with it. It's just
Dude, that
I'm
is so
so
enticing to me, Matt. That is so enticing.
yeah.
The offensive line. Because then again, you have Olu's a first round pick. John Simpson has a terrific value for his contract based on last year.
Yep.
Tippmann second round pick, AVT first round pick, Membu first round pick, and you just build a wall, and then you just dictate the football game. You know, like it's difficult to be a bad football team when you have that offensive line.
Yeah, and then
It's
with that
difficult.
offensive line, you want to run the ball well. And there are reports that Breece Hall is potentially in trade conversations with other teams, or the Jets are shopping him potentially or listening to calls. Mike, I've been pretty critical of Breece Hall with a huge note that I think he's a really good running back. I think in space, he's top 5 in the NFL. Fast as hell, great pass catcher too when he does catch the ball. The first, second down running in between the tackles, you can blame him. You can blame the offensive line, but it just simply wasn't good enough where if it was up to me, I would let him play out this contract. If he has a fantastic year, I think Matt O'Leary was calling this out on his show too, which I completely agree with. If you have a great year, tag him. If he has a bad year,
Yeah,
yeah, he can move on to a different team and someone you can pay him out. You can't have a team with not many good skill position players and then lose your second best one. So
I agree. I don't know what the impetus to deal him is, other than all right, fine. You don't have the 5th year option because he was a second round pick, early second round pick. So it's going to be difficult to keep him super long term. But as a running back anyway, I would run him into the ground. And listen, the Jets are trying to win this year. You know, they're not going balls to the wall, clearly, you know, with some of the player personnel moves. But the Jets, the reason that we thought the Jets were going to be great last year, the same reasons apply this year. You know, you still have the same core guys. And now you have it has to be a better coaching staff in place than what was at the end of last year. You know, and Brees, man, like coming into last year, we were so excited. He was number 2 overall pick in some fantasy football leagues. So to get rid of that guy for nothing, a 4th round pick? All right, who gives a shit? Enough 4th round picks. I want a real solid monster on our team. If we drafted a Brees Hall in the 4th round this year, I'd be so excited. You know, the other aspect, Braylon Allen is very interesting, and Isaiah Davis, good players. There's also the Ashton Genty aspect of it, where if the Jets traded Brees and got Genty, fine, because at least maybe Genty could be Barry Sanders. But I'm not. It doesn't seem like Genty's going to be there at 7 anyway. And then you're going to trade away one of your better players to draft a guy who could be really great, and then you still have the rest of your holes. I don't know, Matt. I'm not very keen to the idea.
The timing doesn't work out either well because, to your point, if you trade Breece Hall in the next 3 hours, then he's on a different team, and Genti could not be there. If you draft Genti at 7 with the thought process of we're going to move off Brees Hall, you lose a little bit of leverage, and teams like, well, you have to get rid of him, and
And
it's
you got to
like,
pick next year is less valuable. Yeah.
yeah. So look, if they were to say, look, you get a second round pick for Brees Hall, and we throw in a fifth, I understand the argument of like how you build your team. The Jets aren't the Eagles where a running back puts you over the top, but maybe that running back could take pressure off of Justin Fields, where Brown Allen and Isaiah Davis are still very much unknowns going into the year. So I wouldn't do it. I understand why they would do it. If they didn't got like a 5th round pick, I'd be furious. But if you regain decent capital and you prove like you have a plan to move forward without him, I could live with it.
All right.
It's not like I'm going to storm one Jets drive and make it January 6th. Like, I'm okay with that. So I don't know. The Brees Hall thing will be fun, but Mike, not only do we have today, we have 2 picks tomorrow as well. It's just going to be very, very fun, and we'll do a live pod when you're back. But
Yeah.
it's going to be good, man. I know you're on vacation, so I don't want to take up too much of our time here, but
I'm going to go do what I'm doing now. I'm going to drink beer and talk about football. And then I'm going to watch the draft. So exciting.
Now
Beautiful.
one more thing. If it goes Carter, or if it goes Cam Ward,
Yep.
Hunter, Carter, Campbell,
Yep.
Genti, Banks, top 6.
Members.
Those are the top 6.
That's my best case scenario. I'll take Membu or Graham immediately.
Membu, Graham, Warren, everything's there. And I think if they go defense, Mike, Aaron Glenn's just like he's running the show.
Well, Matt, listen, if you go defense, like clearly the biggest issue with our team last year, I think, was the run defense of the whole team. That was
completely
the biggest physicality, toughness, run defense, and discipline are the things that kept coming back up. There were a couple of games last year where the Jets just never got off the field. The Niners game and the Cardinals game, you just never got off the field. You lost a couple of games on just straight up game-winning drives to probably the worst 3 quarterbacks in football. Jacoby Brissett would be if he was a real starter, and then Anthony Richardson. So, if they go Graham, I'm happy with it. I've read some things that he kind of is similar to Quinnen, which is not the best case scenario when you're building your defensive line, but you figure the guys are super talented, they'll kind of figure it out. But man,
that's why I think they would take.
I think that's my 1A.
I think they would take Walker over Graham, and I think they would do that because if you can get like a fat 32-year-old veteran who could just eat up blocks in the run game and do what we should have had in like a Javon Kinlaw and Al Woods, like a guy there to be normal. If you have Javon Walker as a chess piece to move around everywhere you want, to stop the run, to get to the quarterback, you pair him with Hamza Nasruddin, who had an all-time year last year, with Quinnen, with Sauce.
Jamin Sherwood?
Yeah. Did I say Hamza Nasruddin? They were, in my defense, that draft, they were both converted safeties into linebackers.
Hamas Nasruddin.
Nasruddin was at Florida State. Sure was at Auburn. That's a great way to wrap the pod.
That was all time.
I said it. The best about it is I said it so confidently and like moved on.
Did you see that? Did you see that new Black? Have you been watching the new Black Mirror season?
I watched the first episode.
There's an episode where this like reality, like certain things in reality are just changed. So it'd be like if it was like McDonald's, it's called like McDonald's, like whatever, and the person thinks he's going insane. It's just in this timeline. Hamza Nasruddin was just great, and fucking Sherwood wasn't.
Dude, the confidence in which I dropped Nasruddin is crazy. But they're in my defense, like they're in my mind. Obviously, Nasruddin hasn't been on the team in a year and a half, but they were the same guy. Like, let's make them in 2021. Let's make them a safety into a linebacker and pray one of them is good. So
it's kind of interesting that well, this is different because it would be a high first-round pick, but it's just the duality of the draft. You never know what you're going to get.
You have those guys on defense, Mike. If you plug one more of them in and then maybe figure out, like, I don't love, like, if we had Morgan Moses right now, I feel like I'd be so much more inclined just to tackle the defensive side and not go Tyler Warren.
No, that's the thing. So it's like my buddy, our friend of the program, Pat, was asking me today, like 1A, 1B, 1C, I think my 1A is a right tackle, my 1B is a defensive tackle, and then way further down 1C is, I don't know, Tyler Warren or a sexy pick at 7, something like that. And obviously, as long as the guy that they draft is a good player, it's going to really help the team because these are all positions of need. But man, like to your point, Morgan Moses, that would have just been so great. Your offense line would be solidified, you'd be set, and then you go right in and you address the defensive side of the football. I would think that's a no-brainer, Matt.
Yep.
But now you have holes on both sides, because your hole on offense is tight end or tackle. I think I'd rather have the tackle. But listen, if they draft Tyler Warren, it'll be fun, and and it probably fits with what they're trying to do on this offense. So it seems like they're in a very good spot.
I agree. I'm just still laughing that I called Jamie Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin. Jamal Adams.
Zinning also?
No.
What is that?
An AirPod case.
Are you putting your Zins in the AirPod case?
Never. Jamal Adams crashing out a bit on Twitter saying he misses the Jets. He did wrong. All things that I've known already, based on potentially speaking with Jamal Adams a couple times in the past few months.
We got to get him on the pod. We got to get Mike DeVito on the pod. We've had some conversations with some guys, Matt.
Me and Jamal go way back. We've been best friends. He did not take kind. He was a good sport about all the things that happened. But Jamal, Breece Hall, NFL draft. I don't think I'm missing anything else. So, hey, in the 5th round, they're going to draft a player that they got back for the Mike Williams trade, and that player will be like my favorite Jet of all time. Like if they become good,
he better be great.
And I also went back. I think in the Mike Williams video that we made, I think I said in that video, it'd be a real shame if this doesn't work out and it's terrible and we trade him for like a day 3 pick, like verbatim, which is very funny.
We'll find the clip. Oh, dude, you like my new Garrett Wilson jersey?
That's fantastic.
Fire,
that's like the POV. What is she seeing? That's what.
That's awful. Poor woman.
All right. Have a good day, brother. Enjoy it. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk tomorrow.
And one more happy belated birthday, Matt, to all the listeners out there. 29, Bilal Powell. You said Leon Washington. Adrian Morrell was maybe 29?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I always use him as like 1,000-yard Jets running back on
the grid.
Yeah. On the grid, on Immaculate Grid. It's always like 0.1%.
I think he had 3,000-yard seasons with the Jets, at least 2. It's a good, productive player.
I've had some great polls in there. I had Arthur Millette for like the Steelers. Jets had like 0.01%. They didn't have his photo. All right.
Arthur Millette just looks like Jamal Adams. All right.
Yeah. I'll get it up. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, buddy.